Chapter 13, Rogue Spirits Sabotage. The quiet hum of preparation shattered as a gust of wind tore through the town square. Tinsel whipped through the air, and ornaments shattered against the cobblestones. Rogue holiday spirits, cloaked in shadows, darted between buildings, their laughter echoing like shards of ice. They toppled carefully arranged candles and scattered ritual herbs, threatening to unravel the town's meticulous preparations. The air crackled with a mix of mischief and malevolence as the spirits wreaked havoc, delighting in the chaos they created. Holly and Jack, drawn by the commotion, rushed into the square, their hearts pounding with a mix of dread and determination. Holly's eyes widened as she took in the chaos, her breath catching at the sight of the spirits' destructive antics. "They're sabotaging the ritual," she cried, her voice barely audible over the howling wind and the spirits' cackling laughter. Jack's gaze hardened, his ice magic crackling to life as he assessed the scene. "We need to stop them. Now." He turned to the gathered townsfolk, their faces pale with shock and fear. "Rally the others. Defend Mary Hollow." His voice boomed, a clarion call that snapped the townspeople out of their stupor and galvanized them into action. The townsfolk sprang into motion, their resolve strengthening as they grabbed whatever makeshift weapons they could find. Shopkeepers armed themselves with enchanted candy canes, their tips glowing with magical energy. Carolers sang battle hymns, their voices amplified by magic, the harmonious melodies weaving spells of protection and strength. Bakers tossed enchanted pastries that exploded into puffs of magical flour, temporarily blinding and disorienting the spirits. The air buzzed with a symphony of spells as the townsfolk fought back against the rogue spirits, their determination to protect their home palpable. A spirit dressed in tattered Mardi Gras finery lunged at Holly, its mask twisted in a grotesque grin, beads clattering as it moved. She dodged with a grace born of practice, her sugar magic flaring to life. A wall of candy canes erupted from the ground, blocking the spirit's path, the red and white stripes gleaming with magical energy. "Not on my watch," she muttered, her eyes flashing with determination as she reinforced the barrier with another wave of magic. Jack faced off against a spirit wielding a sparkling New Year's firework, its fuse crackling with anticipation. The spirit launched the firework, but Jack countered with a blast of ice, freezing it mid-air. "You're not the only ones with tricks," he growled, his ice magic pulsing with newfound strength as he advanced on the spirit, his eyes locked onto its glowing form. The battle raged on, the town square a whirlwind of magic and chaos. Holly darted between ritual components, her magic shoring up defenses and repairing the damage caused by the spirits. She reinforced the protective circle around the Yule lodestone with a wall of gingerbread bricks, their sweet scent filling the air as they hardened into an impenetrable barrier. Then, she turned her attention to the disrupted herbs, her magic flowing like a river, the scattered herbs rising and rearranging themselves according to her will, their aromas mixing and intensifying as they settled back into place. Meanwhile, Jack fought with strategic precision, his ice magic adapting to each spirit's unique attacks. He froze a rampaging Krampus in its tracks, its twisted form encased in a thick layer of ice. Then, he turned to face a mischievous leprechaun, his ice magic shifting to counter the leprechaun's luck-based tricks, the air shimmering with the clash of their opposing magics. Despite the chaos, Jack's focus remained unshakable, his every move calculated to maximize the impact of his magic and minimize the spirit's destructive potential. Jack, his breath visible in the chilled air, turned to Brigadier Nutcracker. The wooden soldier stood at attention, his painted eyes scanning the chaos. "Brigadier, we need to coordinate our efforts. Can you rally the toy soldiers to defend the town square?" Brigadier Nutcracker saluted sharply, his wooden joints creaking. "At your command, Jack. We'll form a perimeter and drive back these rogue spirits." He turned to the scattered toy soldiers, their paint chipped and uniforms disheveled from the sudden attack. "Soldiers! Form ranks! We must protect Mary Hollow." The toy soldiers snapped into formation, their small bodies moving with a precision that belied their size. They marched forward, bayonets gleaming, and formed a protective circle around the town square. The air hummed with their collective magic, a barrier of shimmering light rising from their ranks, encasing the square in a dome of protective energy. Jack nodded, his ice magic crackling as he turned back to the fray. Holly, we need to drive them back. Can you reinforce the soldier's barrier with your sugar magic? Holly, her eyes gleaming with determination, nodded. On it. She raised her hands, her magic flowing like a river of molten sugar. It hardened into a crystalline lattice, reinforcing the soldier's barrier, the sweet scent of candy filling the air. Jack turned to the townsfolk, their faces flushed with exertion and fear. We need to push them back. Work together, use your magic in unison. He demonstrated, his ice magic forming a wall of frost that drove back a group of rampaging spirits. The townsfolk nodded, their resolve strengthening as they began to coordinate their efforts, their magic weaving together in a tapestry of light and sound. The battle raged on, the town square a whirlwind of magic and chaos. The rogue spirits fought with a wild abandon, their attacks erratic and unpredictable. But the townsfolk, bolstered by Jack's coordination and Holly's reinforcements, began to push back. The spirits' advances faltered, their lines breaking as they were driven back by the combined might of Mary Hollow's magic. But the victory came at a cost. The town square was a mess of scattered decorations and broken ornaments. The once pristine snow was churned into a slushy mess, stained with the remnants of shattered magic and discarded spells. The air was thick with the scent of ozone and burnt sugar, the acrid tang of spent magic lingering like a pall. Holly surveyed the damage, her heart aching at the sight of her beloved town in disarray. We drove them back, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. But at what cost? Jack placed a comforting hand on her shoulder, his ice magic pulsing gently. We'll rebuild, Holly. We'll make Mary Hollow stronger than ever. His eyes scanned the damaged square, his mind already racing with plans for repair and fortification. But first, we need to make sure they can't attack us again. Holly and Jack stood side by side, surveying the wreckage of the town square. The once pristine decorations lay scattered and broken, ornaments crunching underfoot like shattered promises. Holly's heart ached at the sight, but her resolve remained unshaken. She turned to Jack, her green eyes reflecting the glint of shattered baubles. We need to fix this. Now. Jack nodded, his ice blue eyes scanning the damage. First, we stabilize the square. Then, we rally the town. He raised his hands, ice magic crackling to life. It flowed like a river, encasing broken decorations in a glistening layer of frost, preserving them until they could be repaired. Holly mirrored his actions, her sugar magic mending torn banners and reconstructing smashed gingerbread houses. She whispered incantations under her breath, her magic stitching together the frayed edges of the town's festive spirit. As they worked, the square began to regain a semblance of its former glory, the air filled with the sweet scent of candy and the crisp tang of fresh snow. Once the immediate damage was contained, Holly turned to Jack, her expression grave. We need to call an emergency meeting. The town needs to know what's happening. Jack agreed, his jaw set in a determined line. We'll gather everyone in the town hall. It's time to address this threat head-on. Word spread quickly through Mary Hollow, and within the hour, the town hall buzzed with anxious whispers. Residents filed in, their faces etched with concern and curiosity. Holly and Jack stood at the front of the room, their hands clasped together, a united front against the encroaching chaos. Holly stepped forward, her voice steady and clear. Friends, neighbors, we've called you here today because Mary Hollow faces a new threat. The rogue spirits that attacked us are a symptom of a larger problem. The Yule Lodestone's influence is growing, and it's attracting unwanted attention. Jack took over, his diplomatic skills smoothing the edge of fear in the room. We've stabilized the town square for now, but we need a more permanent solution. The ritual we've been planning is more crucial than ever. We need to harmonize the lodestone's magic before it's too late. A murmur rippled through the crowd, a mix of apprehension and determination. One by one, the townsfolk began to nod, their resolve strengthening. The baker, his apron dusted with flour, stood up. "Whatever it takes, we're with you. Merry Hollow is our home, and we'll fight to protect it." The sentiment echoed through the room, each resident pledging their support. Holly's eyes welled with gratitude, and she squeezed Jack's hand. "Together," she said, her voice choked with emotion, "we can face anything." Jack nodded, his gaze sweeping over the assembled crowd. "Then it's settled. We move forward with the ritual, stronger and more united than ever. Merry Hollow will not fall." The meeting adjourned with a palpable sense of purpose, the townsfolk filing out with renewed determination. Holly and Jack watched them go, their hearts swelling with pride and love for their community. As the last resident left the hall, Holly turned to Jack, her eyes shining with unshed tears. "We can do this, Jack. Together, we can save Merry Hollow." Jack smiled, his thumb brushing away a stray tear from her cheek. "Together, Holly. That's the only way we've ever done anything."